Okay, so what we've done so far is we found the inverse of quadratic functions, but we've been given what we call the vertex form. In order to find the inverse of a quadratic, we've got to have the vertex form. The most common form that you see, though, is standard. So we've got to figure out now how to go from standard to vertex form so that we can find the inverse. The way that we're going to do that is by what we're going to call completing the square. Okay, so you've got to go from standard form, which is what I've got here, to vertex form by completing the square. You've probably seen this at some point. So the first function that we're going to do, so f of x equals x squared minus 4x plus 1. It's a pretty easy process. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull down my x squared minus 4x. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of x's coefficient. Okay, so half of 4 is 2, and I'm going to square it. So all I did was take half of x's coefficient and then square it. So I added that. Now I'm going to subtract it and then put my plus 1 at the end. Okay? So this plus 2 squared minus 2 squared, because that cancels out, I didn't really do anything to this function. I just rewrote it so that I'm now capable of completing the square. Okay? So my x squared minus 4x stayed the same. I took half of 4, squared it, subtracted the exact same thing, and then brought my plus 1 down. Now, we have this x squared minus 4x plus 2 squared. Now I've got to complete the square. What I mean by that is there's some expression I can put in these parentheses and square it to get x squared minus 4x plus 2 squared. In this case, it's x minus 2. Because if you took x minus 2 times x minus 2, you'd get x squared minus 2x minus 2x plus 4, which is x squared minus 4x plus 4, which is exactly what we've got up here. Okay, so I just took this, this part of my expression and I rewrote it as x minus 2 squared. Now over here, I've got minus 2 squared, which is just minus 4. Okay, and now my plus 1. So I'm just rewriting this basically. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this a little bit. So I've got x minus 2 squared minus 4 plus 1 is minus 3. So now my original function, I just rewrote in vertex form. So I went from x squared minus 4x plus 1 to x minus 2 squared minus 3. Now I've got my vertex form. Now I can figure out the inverse, which you guys have already done. Okay, I know my f of x, we know is just y. So to find my inverse, I'm going to flip-flop those x and y, so I'll have x equals y minus 2 squared minus 3. Okay, I'm going to bring that 3 over by adding it, so I'll end up with x plus 3 is equal to y minus 2 squared. Find the square root of each side, so I'll end up with plus or minus the square root of x plus 3 is y minus 2. And then we know we just need to add the 2 to each side to get rid of it. So I'll end up with plus or minus the square root of x plus 3. Move that over by adding it, so plus 2 equals y. Now I have found my inverse. Okay, so the inverse of f of x is equal to plus or minus the square root of x plus 2. That's supposed to be a 3. I messed up. Let's go back. Okay, so I had x plus 3. I just wrote as x plus 2 by accident down here. Okay, so it was x plus 3. I just need to be x plus 3, and then this plus 2 on the end. Okay, so you had to go from standard to vertex form by completing the square. Then I can solve for my inverse, which you guys should be good with.